She was seated away from the crowd, tucked just behind the kitchen doors. That's where I watched my son's wedding unfold, peeking through a swinging door hidden behind a tray of shrimp cocktail. Every single detail of that day, from the flowers to the chairs, was paid for by me. But when the music swelled and the speeches began, I was invisible, not even close to being part of it. I forced a smile, kept my mouth shut, and when the final crumb of cake was gone, I set everything ablaze with one simple phone call. If this story reaches you today, tell me, where in the world are you watching from? There was no welcome sign, no name card, no polite nod, just a folding chair, a paper napkin carelessly draped over its seat. That was my spot, wedged between a pile of dirty trays and a wheeled cart with a wheel that screeched each time it rolled. I stood there for a moment, blinking back the sting in my eyes. The air was thick with the sharp, sour scent of marinara sauce, clinging to the warm steam escaping from the kitchen. The heat from the ovens pressed against my back, and something inside me twisted painfully. I glanced down at my dress, soft mauve chiffon, every stitch handmade. I'd spent hours earlier that morning getting ready, hours pretending this day would hold meaning for me too. But nobody had told me otherwise. Nobody said, "We've arranged other seats for you." No one even met my eyes when I walked in, not even Adrian. He was too busy grinning, fussing with his cufflinks, basking in his mother's kisses on the cheek. The woman who acted like she'd raised him, like she was the one up all night when he had nightmares, like she took on extra shifts to pay for his braces when I struggled to cover rent and keep his smile intact. I gripped my small beige handbag, the one Adrian bought me years ago on Mother's Day, back when he still called me Mom. My hands trembled. I felt it in my wrists. A subtle buzz, like electricity trying to escape my fingertips. A young catering manager, no older than a kid, approached me awkwardly. Ma'am, they said you should wait back here. The bride didn't want, any clashes with the theme." I blinked at him. "Theme?" He winced, glancing nervously at the swinging door. The silver edge slammed against the wall again with a sharp bang. Laughter spilled out from the reception room, followed by a burst of music. Like, to keep the photos consistent. I eased myself down onto the chair. It creaked beneath me. A dark stain, maybe gravy, marked the floor beneath my feet. My shoes stuck a little when I shifted. I looked at my freshly painted nails, a gentle pink, then at the cold slice of chicken someone had left on a chipped white plate in front of me. The worst part? I stayed silent, not a single word, because it was his day. Because I told myself, don't spoil this for him. Don't be that mother. Because I had paid for everything, and I still thought that counted for something. I pulled out the ceremony program they'd handed me at the church. Elegant cursive printed on creamy cardstock. No mention of me. Claire's father walked her down the aisle. Her mother gave the opening speech. I was just the wallet, the ghost in the kitchen, the woman no one wanted in the picture. The door swung again. I caught a glimpse of the chandelier, the band starting their set, the first dance, Adrian and Claire spinning under warm gold lights. He never once looked my way. I pressed my napkin to my lips, pretending to blot a non-existent stain. My eyes burned. I told myself it was the onions in the kitchen, the steam, the heat, not the betrayal. But it was. Deep down, something inside me cracked like a fine fracture in glass. You don't see it at first, until everything shatters. I stared at the wall ahead, a patch of peeling paint behind a fire extinguisher. I stared so hard, I felt I could burn a hole right through it. That patch became my anchor, my focus, the only thing holding me together as a waiter passed by, balancing a tray of crab puffs. Because if I let the tears come, if I broke down, I wasn't sure I'd ever stop. I took a long, slow breath, then another. The chicken on my plate was cold. I didn't touch it. Eventually, dessert arrived. I didn't taste a bite, just stared at the layers of white and gold, their colors, their perfect little world. Then I made the call. Short, director, no explanations needed. 3 cancellations, the flowers for tomorrow's brunch, half the band's fee, the open bar planned until midnight. My voice stayed steady, calm, controlled. When I hung up, I didn't feel shame, no regret, just a flicker of something I hadn't felt in years, power. I looked at my hands again, no longer trembling, my heart no longer racing, just a low hum like an engine revving back to life. The door swung again, another burst of laughter, another flash of light. The life I was shut out of. Let them celebrate without me. I had plans of my own now. Enjoying the story? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell. That night, sleep didn't come. Not a single minute. I lay there, stiff and tangled in that hotel bed, still wearing the dress I hadn't wanted to take off. My eyes were glued to the ceiling fan spinning lazily above me, almost like it might suddenly fall loose and smash down on me. Part of me wished it would. The smell of greasy kitchen air lingered in my hair, mixed with the sharp scent of expensive roses. And beneath it all, my own sour sweat. Humiliation clung to me like a second skin, heavier than the dress. Eventually, I kicked off my shoes. My feet were swollen and throbbing from hours of standing, but I'd been too afraid to slip them off before. Had to look put together, even if it was just behind that swinging kitchen door. Around 4 a.m., I finally sat up, blinking at the red glow of the digital clock. My phone buzzed again on the nightstand. I didn't reach for it. I already knew who it was. Missed calls from Adrian, from Claire, a text from my niece that read, "What's going on? Everyone's losing it." I opened the wedding budget spreadsheet on my tablet, the one I'd been obsessively updating for over a year. Every detail, every scent of candle wax, every last-minute change Claire demanded, always with that tight smile and the word she used like a sharp knife wrapped in silk. Elevated. Margaret, we just wanted to feel a little more elevated. That's how I ended up agreeing to hand-lettered invitations from some fancy Etsy artist in Vermont. How the venue changed from the church hall to a rustic barn decked out with chandeliers and old whiskey barrels. How the open bar got a custom cocktail menu and the cake ballooned from 2 tiers to 5. I paid for all of it. No one offered to chip in. Not Adrian, not Claire's parents. And I never asked. I wanted him to have everything I never could give when he was growing up. Scrolling through the transactions, my breath caught. 2 unauthorized charges from just days before the wedding, a bar tab from a tasting party, an upgrade to the rehearsal dinner, both at that same restaurant where they'd shoved me in the back near the kitchen. My stomach twisted. I double-checked the card, my card, used without my knowledge. And then I saw the Venmo note Claire sent one of her bridesmaids. His mom's footing the bill, so we might as well go all out, wedding vibes. I didn't cry, not this time. I felt nothing. That heavy, hollow nothing that settles deep after you've been crushed too many times. Like my insides had turned numb. Like my nerves curled up to protect themselves. I reached over and flipped on the lamp. The harsh light stung my eyes. I went to the mirror above the dresser. My reflection shocked me. Mascara smeared under my eyes. The softness around my mouth had hardened into something unfamiliar. My hair was flat on one side, crushed from the pillow. I looked like someone who'd aged 10 years overnight. But then something shifted. I brushed my hair back, washed my face, sat down at the desk, and opened my email. I wrote 3 messages, one to the florist. "Please cancel Sunday's delivery. Hold payment. Thank you." One to the band. Due to event changes, we will not require the second set. Consider this matter closed. One to the bar service. Scaling back post-reception, cancel the second shift. Do not process remaining balance. All polite, all professional, but final. It was nearly dawn when I hit send. Outside, the sky shifted from black to bruised blue. I closed my tablet, settled back on the bed, and listened to the low hum of the air conditioner. For the first time in months, I felt like myself again. I wasn't angry, not yet, but I was done being convenient, done being the cash cow, done being the afterthought. Let them sort it out, let them scramble, let them remember the night the music stopped. The bar ran dry, the flowers never showed up, and wonder why. Maybe, just a maybe, they'd remember who'd made the whole thing possible. The woman stuck in the kitchen, the one they didn't want in the photos. The music throbbed through the wall like a distant heartbeat. I sat on that folding chair, a plate of cold canapes in front of me and a Diet Coke from the catering cooler. I tried not to listen, but every laugh, every cheer, Every clink of glasses slipped through the swinging door, like a knife twisting inside me. A man's voice rose for a toast. Probably Claire's father, or maybe Adrian's best man. I leaned back just enough to peek through the crack. There they were, lined up in front of that ridiculous floral arch I'd paid for. Gold chairs, floating candles, a neon sign glowing with the words, "The future is forever." In curvy script, I knew those voices even when the faces were blurred. Grace, Claire's mother, with that fake sympathy dripping from her words. "Oh my God, Adrian, you're just the kindest man alive." "Claire's so lucky." Then the laughter, the cheers. I froze. At the head table sat Grace, swathed in navy chiffon and dripping in pearls like old money. Though she was anything but. She'd met me maybe 3 times before the wedding, never asked about my life, never thanked me for the payments, never once offered a dime. Beside her, Claire's father ruled the room like a suburban king, booming with laughter. The same man who told me at the rehearsal dinner, "We really admire your perseverance raising Adrian on your own. Must have been hard perseverance." As if I'd climbed a mountain, not worked double shifts in hospital scrubs so my kid could have shoes that weren't handed down. And there was Adrian, my Adrian, smiling like a stranger, wedged between them like he belonged there. I searched for my family. My sister Lydia sat 2 rows back beside our cousin Dana. Neither looked my way. No one did. I wasn't part of the story. I was the problem, solved with a chair in the back and a door that closed tight. A waiter brushed past me, a young woman, probably in college. She glanced at my plate and gave a guilty, awkward smile. "Would you like a refill or anything?" I shook my head. "I'm fine." But I wasn't. Not at all. Every inch of me ached. Feet, shoulders, jaw clenched so tight it pulsed behind my eyes. My heart weighed heavy like a rotten lump refusing to move. I stared at the plate in front of me, 3 olives, a sliver of brie, a sad little triangle of toast. I hadn't eaten since breakfast, but I couldn't force myself to swallow. My stomach was a fist, my throat a narrow tunnel. Weeks before, I'd asked Claire gently, "Have you figured out where I'll sit?" She smiled, tight and bright. "We're still finalizing. Don't worry, Margaret, you'll be included." I should have known. Somewhere deep inside I knew I was being shuffled around like a prop. Invited for the checkbook. Tolerated for appearances, never really wanted. The worst part? I said yes to everything. Let them chip away at my role, one tiny surrender at a time. No speech from me. No mother-son dance. Too awkward, they said. No pre-ceremony photos. No mention in the program. Just a seat in the kitchen. Then I heard Adrian's laugh again. That deep, rumbling laugh he had as a kid when I chased him through the sprinklers in our backyard. The same laugh I hadn't heard directed at me in years. Something rose inside me, not grief, not disappointment, rage, quiet, controlled, devastating rage. I stood, walked to the swinging door, placed my hand on its edge, pushed just enough to peek through, locked eyes with Claire. She saw me. She knew where I was, knew what she'd done, and she smiled. Not nervously, not apologetically, calm, confident, like this was normal. Like I belonged exactly where I was. She tossed her head back, laughing with her bridesmaids. That's when I knew. This wasn't a mistake, not an accident. This was planned, chosen. She didn't want me there, and Adrian let her. They both did. And just like that, something inside me shifted. Not broken. Not this time, reset. My place in their lives had changed, and I was done pretending I didn't see it. Let them have their spotlight, let them toast with their champagne. They thought I was invisible. They had no clue what I could take away. The toast began as I stood by the kitchen door. Someone had dimmed the lights in the reception. I saw the warm glow of string lights and the shimmer of gold chargers on every table. The mic squeaked. Her father's voice boomed like a game show host. "To our daughter, Claire, and her perfect new husband, Adrian!" Cheers erupted. I stepped back. The kitchen behind me erupted into chaos. Metal trays banging, voices rising, a server arguing about Table 12's gluten-free order. I leaned against the cold plaster wall. The smell of garlic and hot oil hung heavy from the other side. Her father kept speaking. When Claire was little, she told us she wanted a fairy tale, a prince, a castle, a happy ending. Well, sweetheart, today you got it. More applause. My breath caught. He was never there when Adrian was a child, never saw me mop vomit from the bathroom floor at 3 a.m., never watched me sew buttons on his school uniform, never drove miles on icy roads just to get him to chess tournaments. But today, they rewrote the story and erased me. I looked down at my hands again, blotchy fingers, thin, trembling skin. The cold vent above made my arms prickle. Then Grace took the mic, her voice syrupy, rehearsed. We're so grateful to have so many friends and family here to love Claire and Adrian. We already think of Adrian as a second son. Cheers again, like a second son. No word about me, no thanks, no acknowledgement for the woman who raised him. Nothing. I bit my cheek until I tasted blood. My feet ached, but I stayed standing. Then came the part I dreaded, the groom's speech. Adrian stepped up, radiant, jaw strong, confident stance. Tailored suit I helped pay for. I'd watched him take his first breath in the NICU. Now he was a stranger. I want to thank everyone for being here, he said, his voice deeper than I remembered, polished, rehearsed. I feel lucky. Claire, you've made me the happiest man alive. To your family, thank you for welcoming me as one of your own. And to everyone who helped make today happen, thank you. This has been the most incredible day of our lives. My name never came up, not once. I paid for the venue, the caterer, the photographer, the DJ, the linens, the custom neon sign. I even paid for Claire's dress. She stood there, arm linked with his, and I was a ghost. Servers clapped. I didn't move. The band picked up. The dance floor filled. Someone brought me a slice of cake on a plastic plate. Vanilla with raspberry filling. Her favorite. I hate raspberry. Never liked it. I looked at the thin gold fork they gave me. My hand was steady now. I thought of when Adrian was 10. Asked for chocolate cake with sprinkles. I worked extra shifts to buy it from the bakery he pointed at in the window. His eyes lit up that day. He hugged me tight. That boy was gone. In his place stood a man who forgot to save me a seat. I set the cake aside, waited until the last bite of dessert was served, until guests loosened ties and wiped icing from their lips, until the music hit its perfect peak. Then I slipped out of the kitchen, past the servers, past the bar, out the side door. The cool night air was still and silent, quiet enough to hum in your ears. I pulled out my phone, 3 calls, 1 to the florist, 1 to the band, 1 to the bar manager, polite, director, no explanations. By the time I returned to the hotel, the wheels were turning. Tomorrow's brunch canceled, late night music pulled, second bartender and cocktail menu gone. I'd been silent long enough. Let them have what was left. Let them feel the absence. Let them ask questions. I didn't care if they called me dramatic or petty or ungrateful. They'd already erased me. All I did was turn the page. The hotel room smelled like rose lotion and something metallic. Maybe stress, maybe my own skin. I sat cross-legged on the bed, the comforter still perfect beneath me, untouched since I checked in. I hadn't cried, not once. But something inside me had grown cold, not frozen. Frozen things break. I was hardening, tempered. The sun hadn't risen yet. I reached for my purse and checked my phone. 6 missed calls, 2 voicemails, a dozen messages. Adrian, where are you? Why's the brunch canceled? Mom, seriously, this isn't funny. Claire, what's going on? Are you okay? Please answer. This is so childish. I laughed, just a short, sharp breath. Childish. Has something like this happened to you? I opened my banking app again, fingers moving with the muscle memory of decades spent balancing every penny, every Sunday, like clockwork. And there they were, those charges still staring back at me, unauthorized, audacious. Claire, my new daughter-in-law, had swiped my card for a pre-wedding bar crawl and a spa day with her bridesmaids. The receipt spelled it out in brutal detail. Bottles of champagne, manicures, facial masks, brunch for 8. No one asked me. No one even said a word. The trust I'd carried in my chest, warm and comforting like a faded quilt, now felt torn apart, shredded in the night while I slept. I switched to my email. 2 new messages awaited. One from the florist. We're sorry about the cancellation, but understand. As per our agreement, no refunds for short notice. Fine. The other from the band manager. We were halfway through setup when your cancellation arrived. This is unusual, but your message was clear. Deposit remains. Also fine. I wasn't after a refund. This was for me, for the invisible woman crammed behind the kitchen door, for the mother erased from her own son's milestone. My stomach growled. I hadn't eaten since the day before. The thought of food made my stomach twist. So instead, I pulled back the stiff hotel curtains and watched the sun bleed into the sky. First fiery orange, then soft pink, finally a pale yellow that made everything surreal. Then something tugged at me, a small red folder buried deep in my dresser drawer at home. Old papers, legal stuff, letters I'd never thrown away. It felt like it had been whispering, waiting for me. I packed my things slowly, took a long shower, washed off the perfume and the bitterness, dried my hair, slipped on jeans and a button-down shirt that still carried a faint lavender scent. I left the hotel without a word. The drive home was quiet. Only the hum of tires on asphalt and some unfamiliar songs crackling softly on the radio. That kind of drive where your own thoughts roar louder than the world. He didn't mention you. They all saw where you sat. No one did a thing. Pulling into my driveway, the roses I planted 2 summers ago were in full bloom. I didn't stop. No admiring, straight to the bedroom, opened the dresser, pulled out the red folder, sat on the bed. At the bottom, beneath old insurance papers and forgotten photos, was a letter. The envelope was yellowed, postmarked from Arizona, dated the year my late husband left. I remembered finding it weeks after he died. Hadn't opened it then, couldn't. It felt like salt in an open wound, like letting him speak from beyond when I wasn't ready. But now, I slid my finger under the flap. The paper was thin, his handwriting slanted and hauntingly familiar. It began simply, "Margaret, I know you never wanted to hear from me again, but I have to tell you something." My pulse quickened, hands trembling. "I've been carrying a secret I can't take to the grave. You deserve the truth. Adrian isn't biologically yours. I found out years ago. Claire was pregnant when we got together. I thought I could pretend he was mine, but he's not, and neither of us ever told you." I stopped reading. The room spun briefly before settling. Then I finished the letter. Apologies, excuses, regrets, words that meant nothing anymore. Adrian, my Adrian, was the result of an affair. Another woman's child left on my doorstep like a test I didn't know I was taking, and somehow I passed. God help me, I passed every scraped knee, every bedtime story, every night shift I took to buy him sneakers and school photos. I passed with flying colors, and yet here I was, discarded, replaced, erased. But now I had clarity, a sharp truth slicing through years of silence, and I was done bleeding. I didn't cry, sitting there with the letter trembling in my lap. The weight was heavier than anything I'd ever held. No tears. What good would they do? Tears had built Adrian's childhood, paid for his asthma meds, his first car. They soaked my pillow after his father left. And again, when he walked across that high school stage, not once turning to wave at me. I'd run out of tears years ago. What I had now was something else. Not grief, not heartbreak, clarity. I moved to the kitchen and poured myself a black, strong coffee, sat by the window, watched the neighbor's sprinkler tick, tick, tick across the lawn. A perfectly normal Sunday morning, but I wasn't the woman who paid for someone else's fairy tale anymore. Not the one who'd take a folding chair behind the punch bowl. Not the woman who'd swallow this. Not anymore. I unlocked my phone and started with the florist. My voice was calm, polite, thanked them for understanding, confirmed again. No Sunday delivery needed, no explanations. I didn't owe them one. Next was the band. Same tone, same silence about why. Then the bar service. "Hi, this is Margaret Langley. Yes, that's right. I'm calling to cancel the post-wedding brunch cocktail reception. No issues. Just a change of heart. Thank you. Click. 3 calls, 3 ends." I could have stopped there, but I didn't. Because I knew what was coming, I turned off my phone, turned it back on 5 minutes later. 38 unread messages, 3 voicemails, Adrian again. Mom, where are you? The band didn't show. What's going on? Claire's mother. I don't know what's happening, but this is unprofessional. People are asking questions. Then Claire herself. Margaret, seriously? Is this about the seating? That's petty. We had a vision. Don't ruin it. Petty. The word hit me like a slap, like a branding iron on my skin. When I closed my eyes, all I saw was Claire smirking across the room, knowing exactly where I was, knowing what she did, knowing I wouldn't fight back. Until now. I shut off my phone again, let them spiral, let the rumors grow, let them realize the bar ran dry because I was the well. That the music stopped because I paid the last bill. That the flowers never arrived because the roots were rotten. I cleaned the kitchen, wiped every surface, fed the cat. It was the most peace I'd felt in months. Around noon, the doorbell rang. I didn't answer. Let them knock. Let them sweat in their own shame. That night, I posted a single photo on Facebook. Not of the wedding, not of me, just the check I wrote. Account number blurred, signature clear, no caption, no explanation, just a truth they couldn't deny, a receipt of sacrifice. And then I logged off, not just Facebook, but the guilt, the silence, the pretending it wasn't betrayal. I didn't need their spin, their excuses, their justifications. Let them sit in the wreckage. I wasn't going to fix it for them. The silence was the first sign they were scrambling. No more messages, no more calls, just a strange quiet. Like the eye of a storm passing right over my house. I could feel it, the tension, the waiting. They had no idea what I would do next. Neither did I, but it would be mine. Has something like this happened to you?